What's up, y'all? It's your boy Ace. It's Fantasized Football. We're back again. Another video. We're going to be talking about the NFL Draft a little more today. But before I get into that, let me just get it out of the way because I know at least one of you is going to be watching this video and saying, oh, look at this dirty son of a gun. Wearing the same sweatshirt 2 videos in a row. Well, let me tell you something. Your boy's working hard, doing 2-3 videos in the same day. So when the next one comes out and I'm wearing the same sweatshirt, I'm going to tell you the same thing. Because I did it all in one day. I'm going hard, bro. Give me a break, all right? So listen, we're going to talk about the NFL Draft today. Like I said, we're going to be talking about our biggest winners and losers for the NFL Draft. Hope y'all liked the last video. We got more coming. Like I said, we're going to ramp up the content. We got our first mock draft coming a little later on this week. I can't wait to do that. I love doing mock drafts. You're going to see a whole lot of that on this channel. So if you love mock drafts, I'm your man. But anyways, let's get right into it. Let's talk about our biggest winners first off. And we're not going to be talking about teams. We're only going to be talking about individual players off the top of my head. Some of the biggest winners are obviously the Jaguars, the Steelers, the Dolphins. I thought all those teams knocked it out of the park. The Ravens. So yeah, man. But we're only going to be talking about players here. So let's go. Again, like in the last video, number 1 to number 5, winners, losers. I'm not ranking it, you know, I'm just going. It's how it came to me. So however you want to take that, man, take it with a grain of salt, all right? So listen, number 1, biggest winners. Mike Davis, Atlanta Falcons, running back. The Falcons added nobody. No Sir Bobbery, nothing, no. But they did draft they signed Javion Hawkins after the draft. So the way I'm looking at it, man, is as of right now, Mike Davis doesn't really have any competition. I mean, it's Javion Hawkins and it's Quadre Allison. Brian Hill signed with the Titans, I believe, and Ito Smith's a free agent too. So it's Mike Davis's backfield right now, and this is an Arthur Smith backfield. While I do expect the Falcons to remain a pass-happy team just because they drafted Kyle Pitts and they have Matt Ryan and they have Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley. They have a lot of weapons. This is a valuable role, you know, to be the starting running back for the Falcons. They're going to be a high-octane offense, a high-scoring offense. If they want to compete, they're going to have to be a high-scoring offense because Lord knows their defense isn't going to carry them. So if they want to be competitive, they're going to have to try to outscore teams. You know, that's the only way they're going to do it. They're going to have to go out there and just put up points week in and week out. So, like I said, man, it's an Arthur Smith offense. I don't expect this to be a very good defense. Mike Davis should have ample opportunity, ample scoring opportunities. He was involved last season quite heavily in the passing game in Carolina. We'll see how that translates over to the Falcons, but he did show himself to be a capable receiver, and he did tail off towards the end of the season last year a bit, but I expect him to kind of bounce back to top form with this kind of opportunity. He's shown last year that he can handle a large workload, so I expect that to be the case here. So Mike Davis, big winner. Next, we'll move on to my boy, Miami Dolphins, Myles Gaskin. Myles Gaskin was dodging bullets like Neo in the Matrix throughout the draft, man. It was crazy, dude. When the Broncos traded up, well, first of all, our second pick when we picked Phillips, the defensive dude, the DN or the edge, whatever. I thought that we might go running back there. I really did. But we didn't. We went defense instead. And then in the second round, the Broncos traded up in front of the Dolphins. And like me personally, I wanted Javonte Williams. I think Myles Gaskin's good. Don't get me wrong. And he showed that he can produce with volume last season. But Javante's a different breed, obviously, you know what I mean? He was my number 2 running back, like I mentioned in the last video. So I wanted Javonte Williams, but then Denver trades up in front of us, and I was thinking, oh, no, they're not going to take a running back. But I'm like, wait, why'd they trade ahead of us? And then they said, and the Denver Broncos select Javonte Williams. And I said, oh, shit, bro. But, hey, man, good for Myles Gaskin. I mean, they waited till the 7th round to grab a running back. Gerald Dokes, I believe his name is. I know nothing about him. But food for thought, Myles Gaskin as well was a 7th round pick, if I'm correct. So that doesn't mean he couldn't be involved in the offense. But, I mean, I just don't expect there to be too much competition for touches for Gaskin. I mean, when Gaskin was healthy last year, he was very productive. So it's Gaskin, Ahmed again, and then we signed Malcolm Brown, who's good for one blow-up performance every year, probably the first game of the season. So, I mean, I think Gaskin is in line to handle the majority of the workload. It is a question mark whether he can stay healthy. He did suffer a couple of injuries last season, so he wasn't able to play a full 16 games. Whether that had to do with the amount of work he was getting or just, coincidence, we shall find out this season, but he has a path to a workhorse role, and we love that for fantasy, and the Dolphins like to use a workhorse, man. We've seen it, and Flores comes from the Patriots school of coaching, so it is a little bit surprising. But again, just because somebody comes from one school of coaching doesn't mean they're going to use all of the same philosophies in their offense. So we have seen the Dolphins have a propensity to want to use a workhorse, and I really could see Myles Gaskin coming in, handling a lion's share of the workload, being a 15-plus touch-a-game guy, and he really was a big winner from the draft and dodged a whole hell of a lot of bullets to remain the starting running back for the Miami Dolphins going into the 2021 season. Number 3, biggest winners, Matt Ryan, baby. Matt Ryan, I think he's in for a bounce back, man. Hopefully Julio can stay healthy. He's got unlimited weapons, man. He really does. They drafted Kyle Pitts 4th overall, obviously. Man, think about that offense. The Matt Ryan at the helm, a little controversial, not controversial, but polarizing. I think Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. He had a down year last year, but think about it, man. You got Julio and Ridley. You got Kyle Pitts. You got Russell Gage. You got Mike Davis out the backfield now. Hayden Hurst. This offense could arguably be one of the best in the league, arguably the best receiving core in the league with Kyle Pitts now. I mean, it's just they're going to throw the ball a lot. We know that. At first, when Arthur Smith came in, I questioned whether he was going to kind of bring over the same mentality he had in Tennessee. But then I thought about it. It's well, they have Derrick Henry. You know what I mean? So if you have Derrick Henry, you're going to run the ball a lot. So just because Arthur Smith came from Tennessee doesn't mean he's going to change this offense. I think that Matt Ryan's still going to throw the ball a lot. He's got so many weapons. I really expect him to have a big bounce back year. Arthur Smith is a former tight ends coach as well, so that's great for Kyle Pitts. So yeah, with all the weapons and with Julio, Ridley, Kyle Pitts, I mean, Matt Ryan is in for a big year for fantasy football, and he is one of the biggest winners of the draft. No questions asked. Number 4, A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Tennessee Titans, baby. I expected the Titans to draft a wide receiver a whole hell of a lot earlier than they did. They picked Des Fitzpatrick, I think his name was, and I really don't know much about him. They waited, though. They waited to get a wide receiver. Clearly, they believe in A.J. Brown, as they should. He was one of those guys, and I'm going to talk about this in a video that I'm going to put out in the future a little bit. He was one of the guys that last season I wasn't really in on so much, and I just needed him to prove it a little bit more. But now, with Corey Davis gone, Jonnu Smith gone, it's he really could be a 160 target guy this year. And if A.J. Brown gets 160 targets, sheesh, bro. I feel bad for anyone that doesn't have A.J. Brown in fantasy this year. But, I mean, it does kind of mess with him a little bit because Davis and Jonnu are gone, because then defense is kind of keying on him a little bit more. But I think that Derrick Henry alone and how the Titans kind of run their offense, a lot of play action and stuff, they use that to their advantage very, very well. I expect that Josh Reynolds, they signed him in free agency, and then hopefully this Des Fitzpatrick, Anthony Ferkser, whoever else, will be able to do enough that defenses can't completely key in on A.J. Brown, even with, and especially with Derrick Henry there, so, and on top of that, I don't expect Josh Reynolds or this rookie Des Fitzpatrick to come in and be the type of player to command enough targets to really mess with A.J. Brown's fantasy value or real life value. I mean, like I said, I'm starting to think more and more that A.J. Brown could hop into that territory of 150 plus targets this year, 160 plus targets. I mean, with 17 games, I don't even see 170 being off the board. And if that's the case, it's A.J. Brown to the moon, baby. Right now, he's one of my favorite wide receivers for fantasy football. A.J. Brown, huge winner of the 2021 NFL Draft. And then number 5, Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Baltimore Ravens, big-time winner for real football. And for fantasy, for Lamar, like I mentioned in the last video, I wasn't huge on this for Bateman or Tylan Wallace or Marquise Brown, Mark Andrews, anybody for fantasy football, but for Lamar, this is great. I do expect the Ravens to throw the ball a bit more. It seems like their offense became a little one-dimensional. I was hearing teams calling out their plays and stuff, like they just knew that it's run there. And so I expect them to kind of change that up, and it seems like they will with how they played it in the draft. They added 2 star receivers with Rashad Bateman and Tylan Wallace. He still got Marquise Brown, still got Mark Andrews. I'm sorry about that. But, I don't really like this so much for the receivers, but for Lamar, this is awesome, man. And Rashad Bateman gives Lamar another, larger target. He's got Marquise Brown, who's, very small for an NFL player. And then Mark Andrews, obviously a bigger guy as a tight end. But Bateman gives him another larger, outside guy to target and stuff. So that should help Lamar, man. And I think Lamar's in for a big-time bounce-back season. Big time. Big winner of the 2021 NFL Draft. But now that we got the winners out of the way, let's talk about the loser circle, man. And it's sad, bro. It's sad. I'm not going to go on the rant. I did it last time. We're going to start off. We're just going to get it over with James Robinson. And obviously the Jaguars drafted Travis Etienne in the first round, running back. I'm not a huge fan of Travis Etienne. And I do think there is a world where James Robinson just outplays him. I mean, James Robinson was really, really good last year. I've said this enough where I don't have to I don't want to sound like I'm beating a dead horse or whatever, but the guy's really good and he's going to be involved still. He's not just going to go away, but he went from when I did my initial rankings, where I had him as a top 10 running back coming into the year, he immediately dropped down outside of even RB2 range. He's a high-end RB3 for me right now. So for fantasy football, this really hurts for Robinson. It really doesn't help ETN either, because I envision this being almost a near 50-50 split backfield. I mean, Trevor Lawrence should open up the offense a bit more for him, more scoring opportunities, more, they should be a little better. So it will open up late in the game, if they are winning a game, opportunities for Robinson to run the ball, get some garbage time points. But ETN's looking more like the passing down guy, and Robinson was a good pass catcher last year. So if ETN's eating up a lot of his targets, that's not going to help him. And this kind of sets his career trajectory way down because, he's an undrafted free agent. I'm sure somebody will take a shot on him, if Jacksonville doesn't bring him back whenever his contract's up. But, last season, I was looking at James Robinson wow, this guy could be the next Arian Foster the way he performed. But that's on hold for now, at least. James Robinson, big loser, man, with Travis Etienne. But let's move on to number 2, and that is Melvin Gordon. I love Javonte Williams. Love him. Like I mentioned earlier with Myles Gaskin, I thought the Dolphins would have taken him, but obviously the Broncos traded up in front of them, grabbed Javonte Williams. I don't hate this spot for Javonte in 2022, but for 2021, it's one of those wait-and-see type of situations. I think Javonte could overtake Melvin Gordon throughout the season, but I expect this to be a near 50-50 split right from the get-go. With some involvement from Mike Boone, too. They did sign him in free agency, and Mike Boone's one of those running backs that has never really gotten a fair shake, and I actually liked Mike Boone for, Dynasty and, in deeper leagues as a really good handcuff. If anything happened with Melvin Gordon or when Melvin Gordon left. And that's what kind of led me to believe that they weren't going to draft a running back because while Melvin Gordon is getting a bit older and whatnot, and his career is probably on the downtick, although last year he had one of the most efficient seasons of his career, I thought that they would either roll with Mike Boone for a couple of years, see how he does, or draft or sign someone Excuse me, I'm sorry. Cheapest crow. I'm getting all choked up, man, thinking about James Robinson. I'm sorry, man. Breaks my heart, you know. But yeah, man, I didn't expect them to do this, but they did this. And there's no upgraded quarterback. Actually, there could be. Aaron Rodgers could end up there, and if that happens, then that will raise the upside for both Javonte and Melvin Gordon. But as it is now, whether it be Teddy Two Gloves or Drew Lock, limiting upside, limiting scoring opportunities, just not a great look. Melvin Gordon, big-time loser for the 2021 NFL Draft. Number 3, Andy Dalton. My man said, they told me I'm the starter. Hey, they told me I'm the starter. Poor guy, man. I feel bad for Dalton, man. He comes in, his competition is Nick Foles, and it's like, he's probably like, yeah, I got this, man. He's got Allen Robinson, Donnell Mooney's on the up and up, David Montgomery coming off a great season, got a pretty good defense. He's probably feeling himself a little bit, a little swagger, and then, all these teams going by him. Always pick Justin Fields, and then the trade is in, and the Chicago Bears select Justin Fields. Woof. Poor guy. I mean, they are saying he's going to be a starter to start the season. Even if he is a starter to start the season, though, if he struggles, it's more than likely that Justin Fields will take over at some point in the season. I mean, this is probably his last chance to revitalize his career on top of that. And just feels bad, man. I mean, Dalton gets a lot of flack. I don't think he's that bad. I really don't. And I thought that, if he had a chance this season, if he had a good year, he's not that old. He could have, made a case for him to get a job as like a low-end starter or a high-end backup somewhere. But at this point, it looks like he's just going to be a career backup if and when Fields takes over for him. So Andy Dalton, man, big loser of the NFL Draft 2021. I'm sorry, Andy. Feels bad, bro. But next we'll move on to another quarterback, Cam Newton, quarterback of the New England Patriots. Another guy very similar to Dalton. Chance to revitalize his career with New England started last season. He wasn't bad before COVID hit last year. He really wasn't. But obviously the Patriots went out. They drafted Mac Jones, who fell to them. Mac Jones was rumored to maybe go to the 49ers. I always felt like that was a smokescreen. But he fell all the way to the Pats. This hurts for Cam Newton. It really seemed, to me at least, I am from New England, not a New England Patriots fan, Dolphins fan here, fins up, baby. But it really seemed to me like Belichick wanted to make Cam Newton work. Based on a lot of the moves they made this offseason with Hunter Henry and Jonnu Smith, bringing in 2 big tight ends, short area targets, and then signing a couple weapons for him, and Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne. How good is Nelson Aguilar and Kendrick Bourne? I don't really know, to be honest with you. I thought that was a bit of an overpay for those two. But yeah, it's kind of the same situation as Andy. Excuse me. Man, Robinson's still screwing me up, bro. I don't know why. I've been talking a lot today, man. This is our second video today. We're going to do a third. Hopefully I can clear this up before then. But very similar to Dalton, where if he makes one too many mistakes, Mac Jones probably going to take over for him. I could see Cam having a better chance than Dalton to kind of play the season out, because I think Belichick's a really good coach and he could scheme them into a lot of victories. And if that's the case, I don't think they're just going to take Cam Newton out if they're winning. But we saw what happened with Tua and Fitzpatrick last year, so it could be a similar situation. So yeah, I mean, Cam Newton, just like Andy Dalton, kind of a loser in this 2021 NFL Draft. We'll see what happens, but I mean, one wrong move, we're going to see Mac Jones probably hit the field. But last but not least, number 5 of our biggest losers for the 2021 NFL Draft is Hayden Hurst, tight end, Atlanta Falcons. Now, the Falcons, obviously, like I mentioned with Matt Ryan, who was one of our biggest winners, drafted Kyle Pitts. Now, what does this mean for Hayden Hurst? Obviously, Kyle Pitts is the future at tight end for the Atlanta Falcons. And Hayden Hurst last season, I was very high on him. I kind of whiffed on that. I thought that Hayden Hurst was going to be really good. He wasn't horrible, but he wasn't as good as I expected him to be on this offense and whatnot. And clearly, I mean, the Falcons aren't super happy with them if they went with Pitts. I mean, Pitts was kind of a no-brainer there. It's kind of hard for them not to take them. So maybe that shouldn't be too much of a reflection on Hayden Hurst. But yeah, man, I mean, he's coming into his second season in a high-volume offense. I was really expecting him to take a step forward, but now it looks like he's really only going to see the field in 2 tight end sets, probably more as a blocker, playing in this offense as the Julio, Ridley, Pitts, Mike Davis, best case scenario, 5th option. I mean, I just don't see a path to targets for him, a path to opportunity. So Hayden Hurst, big time loser of this one, man. Hopefully he can do well with what he gets so he can get another opportunity somewhere else. I think he does have a lot of upside. He seems like a really good guy. He's got a really good story, battled depression, anxiety, things like that, man. So I really hope for the best for the guy. But as for the draft, unfortunately, Hayden Hurst, one of the big losers. But yeah, that's all I got, y'all. We went through actually, let's do a quick recap. Just real quick. So our biggest winners, Mike Davis, running back, Atlanta Falcons. Myles Gaskin, running back, Miami Dolphins. Matt Ryan, quarterback, Atlanta Falcons. A.J. Brown, wide receiver, Tennessee Titans. And Lamar Jackson, quarterback, Baltimore Ravens. Biggest losers, James Robinson, running back, Jacksonville Jaguars. Number 2, Melvin Gordon, running back, Denver Broncos. Number 3, Andy Dalton, quarterback, Chicago Bears. Number 4, Cam Newton, quarterback, New England Patriots. And number 5, Hayden Hurst, tight end, Atlanta Falcons. If you guys like the video, let me know. Leave me a comment. Tell me what you thought. Tell me who you guys think are your biggest winners or your biggest losers in the NFL draft. Is there anyone I missed? Is there anyone that I should have put on here that I didn't? Just let me know. And if you're liking the videos, if you're liking the content, like the video, share it to all your friends, your family, your teachers, your fantasy league mates, if you want to have them lose a little bit. You know what I mean? Some of my takes going to be wrong anyways. Hopefully they'll pick up on the bad ones. But yeah, like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel. It's free and it's really helpful, man. Any like, any subscription, very helpful. I really appreciate it. Hope you guys liked the video. Thank you. Love you. Peace.